So, the word swirling around the room right now is that Papoose has officially fumbled the entire bag on national television, and I mean the entire bag, y'all, because folks in the room are whispering that Papoose just walked into a sit-down interview with the Denza Network and, in a single breath, got himself caught in one of the loudest, sloppiest, most cinematic lies of his entire career, and the whole thing lasted about 15 seconds from start to finish. Listen up now, because Papoose sat there, dead serious face, hands doing that finger wave thing Papoose cannot seem to stop doing, and told the world that Claressa Shields is the best thing that ever happened to him. Then, in the very next heartbeat, without letting the sentence cool down, Papoose pivoted and called Claressa Shields one of the best things that ever happened to him, and my people, those two statements cannot both be true. They physically cannot occupy the same sentence, and Papoose either forgot the camera was still rolling or Papoose is so used to freestyling his own life story that the wires finally crossed on live tape in front of a global audience. I know some of y'all have been screaming this from the rooftops for over a year now, and I hear you, I see you, and I salute you, because the folks who called this out early are officially the smartest people in the room today. As a matter of record, this is exactly the kind of slip that Remy Ma has been quietly telling us to watch for, and now the whole internet gets to sit down with a bag of popcorn and watch Papoose trip over his own script in real time. Because Papoose is not just a rapper doing an interview, y'all, Papoose is a man who has spent the last stretch of his career trying to rebrand himself as this soft-spoken, black love, family man archetype, and every time Papoose opens his mouth these days, another crack shows up in that paint job, and every crack shows up right on camera, right on cue, right on the record. Now peep this part carefully, because the reason this fumble hits so hard is not just the lie itself, it is the mathematics of the lie. Papoose said Claressa Shields is the best thing that ever happened to him. Singular. Definite article. Top of the mountain. Nobody above her. Then, before the interviewer could blink, Papoose said Claressa Shields is one of the best things that ever happened to him. Plural. Indefinite. Sharing the podium. And listen, my people, if Claressa Shields is the number one thing on the list, then there cannot be a list, and if there is a list, then Claressa Shields is not number one, and Papoose just showed the entire world that Papoose cannot even keep his own love story straight for a full sentence, let alone a full interview, let alone a full relationship. Let me draw the picture, because some folks might miss the weight of what just happened. Imagine somebody walked up to you at a sports bar and said LeBron James is the greatest basketball player who ever lived, and then, 3 seconds later, that same person turned around and said LeBron James is one of the greatest basketball players who ever lived. Michael Jordan fans would be on that person's neck within the hour. Kobe Bryant fans would be reaching for the microphone. Magic Johnson fans would be pulling up statistics. Because you cannot promote somebody to number one, then quietly demote them to the honorable mention shelf, and expect nobody in the room to catch the switch. But Papoose thought he could. Papoose thought the audience was slow. Papoose looked directly into the camera and pulled the switch on Claressa Shields herself, and the man did not even flinch. Papoose did not blink. Papoose did not stumble. Papoose delivered both lines with the exact same tone, as if Papoose genuinely believed the audience would not do the math. And Papoose has formed for this kind of moment, y'all, because we have seen this movie before. Remember the Vlad interview? Remember when Vlad took an entire month, releasing little clip after little clip of Papoose contradicting himself, tripping over dates, mixing up stories, and getting flamed to a crisp on every timeline in America? Vlad had Papoose on a slow roast for weeks, and every 7 days a new little sliver of tape dropped, and every 7 days the internet got to cook Papoose all over again. Well, Papoose walked back into a studio without learning the lesson, and now the Denza Network is holding what looks like the exact same weapon Vlad had, and Denza only released a preview clip so far. The preview clip. Not the interview. The interview has not even dropped yet. Which means we are about to eat, and eat well, and eat repeatedly for the next several news cycles, and every gossip channel with a microphone is going to be sitting at the table with us. Let me back up, because I want the newcomers to catch up on the receipts before we drive any further into this. Papoose was married to Remy Ma for years, and by every honest measurement, Remy Ma was the biggest name in that marriage from day one. Remy Ma signed to Terror Squad back when Terror Squad was one of the loudest crews in New York hip-hop, and my people, Remy Ma was already a household name in the Bronx before Papoose signed a single record deal. Papoose eventually signed a reported $1.5 million contract with Jive Records, and here is where the receipts start burning, because Papoose collected the check and never dropped the album. That is not an accusation, y'all, that is a public record. Papoose did not release his debut studio album until nearly 7 years later. 7 years later. And in that entire 7-year gap, who was carrying the household name? Remy Ma. Every camera, every award, every red carpet, every love and hip-hop cameo, Remy Ma was the reason those doors opened, and Papoose knows it, and Papoose has never once said thank you on tape, and Papoose is not about to start now. Now Papoose is out here doing the media rounds with Claressa Shields, and the whole world is being asked to believe that this new chapter is authentic, deep, and untouchable. And listen up now, I am not the internet police, I am not here to tell grown adults who to date, that is not my department. But when Papoose sits down for a sit-down interview and calls his current girlfriend the best thing that ever happened to him in one sentence, and then downgrades her to one of the best things in the next sentence, my people, that is not a small slip. That is a Freudian confession recorded in high definition. That is a man whose subconscious will not let him tell a lie that big without a footnote, without a disclaimer, without a small honest asterisk sneaking in through the side door. And here is what makes it worse, y'all, and I mean genuinely, cinematically worse. Papoose is still walking around with Remy Ma's name tattooed on his own arm. Papoose has not filed anything meaningful in the divorce lane. Papoose is still legally, ceremonially, and cosmetically wearing Remy Ma on his skin, and yet Papoose has the audacity to sit in front of a camera and hand Claressa Shields the #1 trophy in his life. Where is the matching Claressa Shields tattoo? Where is the equal and opposite gesture? Where is the receipt that proves this new love is bigger than the old one? Because the last time I checked, if Claressa Shields is truly the greatest thing that ever happened to Papoose, then the Remy Ma ink should have been lasered off years ago, and the fact that Remy Ma is still glowing on his forearm tells you everything you need to know about which chapter of his life Papoose actually believes was the best one. Now peep this next part, because this is where the plot thickens into cement. Papoose did not just fumble a sentence, Papoose fumbled the entire narrative that his team has been trying to sell for a year. The narrative goes like this: Papoose was quiet, respectful, and misunderstood, and Remy Ma was the difficult one, and Claressa Shields came along and finally gave Papoose the peace he deserved. That is the story Papoose has been trying to write. But every single time Papoose is caught on camera around Claressa Shields, the body language says something else entirely. Papoose is stiff. Papoose is short. Papoose looks like a man being escorted through the interview by a chaperone. And when Claressa Shields grabs his arm, Papoose does that thing where he pats her hand like a coworker at a company retirement party, not a man in love. And when Claressa Shields tries to speak, Papoose looks at the interviewer instead. And when the interviewer tries to speak, Papoose is already reaching for his finger, ready to point at somebody, anybody, everybody. Because Papoose has developed what can only be described as a full-blown finger-waving addiction, y'all. I said what I said. Papoose points at the ceiling, Papoose points at the floor, Papoose points at his own past, Papoose points at the camera operator behind the camera. Papoose has been photographed pointing his finger backwards over his own shoulder. Backwards. Over his own shoulder. What are you pointing at back there, Papoose? Ghosts? Regrets? Old contracts? Because the way Papoose moves his hands during an interview looks less like conversation and more like Papoose is directing traffic in an empty intersection at 3 in the morning with nobody listening and no cars coming from either direction. But let us not get distracted, because the real bombshell of this Denza Network preview is the lie itself, and the lie itself deserves the full autopsy. Papoose said, and I am paraphrasing carefully because the exact wording is going to be replayed on every gossip channel this week, that Claressa Shields is the best thing that ever happened to him. Then Papoose said Claressa Shields is one of the best things that ever happened to him. Both statements. Same interview. Same sitting. Same camera. Same microphone. Same cadence. And the truly hilarious part is that Papoose did not even seem to notice he had contradicted himself. The interviewer did not press him. Nobody in the room raised a hand. The clip went out into the world exactly the way Papoose delivered it, and now the internet has it forever, saved, screenshotted, looped, remixed and archived on every timeline that matters, from Twitter to TikTok to Instagram to every gossip blog with a working refresh button. And this is why Remy Ma has been so calm about all of it, y'all. Because Remy Ma understood, long before the rest of us did, that Papoose was going to expose himself eventually. Remy Ma did not need to release a diss track, although Remy Ma did, and it hit. Remy Ma did not need to organize a press conference, Remy Ma did not need to sit for a tell-all. Remy Ma just needed to wait. Because Papoose in front of a microphone is Papoose's own worst opponent, and every single interview Papoose does adds another exhibit to the case Remy Ma never had to file. Remy Ma is out here booking radio interviews. Remy Ma is out here on the parade route waving at fans in New York. Remy Ma is out here running her own network, growing her own brand, and living a life that looks like it has been dry cleaned and pressed. Meanwhile, Papoose is fumbling verb tenses on the Denza Network. Meanwhile, Claressa Shields is defending Papoose on Twitter Spaces to a room that reportedly contained fewer than 50 people. 50. 50. A whole world champion boxer with an 8-figure endorsement portfolio, and the audience for her Twitter space could fit inside a public library reading room on a slow Tuesday afternoon in the middle of a snowstorm. And listen up now, because this next part is where the whole plot rearranges itself in your head. The word swirling around the room is that Claressa Shields is not just defending Papoose out of love. The word swirling around the room is that Claressa Shields is defending Papoose because she has to. Because Claressa Shields has publicly tied her personal life to Papoose's professional life in a way that means, if the relationship falls apart, so does the brand. Papoose was reportedly brought in to win records with a leadership role tied directly to Claressa Shields' arrival. Papoose is credited with helping negotiate parts of the deal. Papoose gets paid a percentage of the promotional lift Claressa Shields brings in. Which means, my people, that if Papoose and Claressa Shields split tomorrow, Papoose's biggest paycheck since 2013 walks out the door with her. And Papoose knows it. And Claressa Shields might be starting to know it too, whether she says it out loud or not, whether she wants to admit it to herself or not. Now peep this, because I want to be fair. There is a version of this story where Papoose truly does love Claressa Shields, where the interview slip was just a nervous tick, where the tattoo is just an old scar Papoose has not gotten around to fixing, and where all the criticism aimed at Papoose is unfair pile-on from folks who miss the Remy Ma era. That version of the story exists. I acknowledge it. But that version requires you to ignore about 11 other receipts, and I am not built to ignore receipts. I am built to line them up on the table and let y'all decide, one exhibit at a time, one contradiction at a time, one finger wave at a time. Because the receipts include the following, y'all, and I want you to write them down. 1. Papoose is still tattooed with Remy Ma. 2. Papoose has not finalized the divorce timeline in the way a man in a brand new love story typically would. 3. Papoose has been photographed multiple times with what body language analysts online have called withdrawn, resistant, or performative posture around Claressa Shields. 4. Papoose has been caught in at least 3 prior interviews telling slightly different versions of how he and Claressa Shields met. 5. Papoose recently sat in a corner during one of Claressa Shields' training sessions wearing what folks online affectionately described as a full set of prison-issue sweatpants, arms crossed, face flat, looking like a man serving out a sentence rather than supporting a partner. 6. Papoose has been posting less music, less content, and less career activity, and more responses to bloggers, more clapback tweets, and more social media grievance content than at any prior point in his career. 7. Papoose has never publicly slobbed Claressa Shields down in a moment of unguarded affection the way a man in the honeymoon phase typically does, and instead the couple photos consistently feature what looks like a formal peck at best, the kind of kiss a nephew gives an auntie on Thanksgiving. That is 7 receipts, my people, and I have more, but I want to save some for the actual full-length interview when it drops. Because let me remind you, y'all, the Denza Network only released a preview clip. A preview. A trailer. A teaser. Papoose already lost the round on a preview. Imagine what the full interview is about to look like. Imagine what happens when Papoose gets 10 more minutes of camera time to accidentally rank Claressa Shields against his own ex-wife on live tape. I have my popcorn microwaved and salted, y'all, because this show has not even started yet, and the concession stand is stocked, and the lights are dimming, and the previews just told us the whole ending. Now, moving right along, because I want to address the Papoose defenders directly for a moment, and I am going to do it with love. If you are a Papoose supporter, and you are reading this, I understand. Papoose has had a long career. Papoose has bars. Papoose has released a mountain of mixtapes. Papoose has been a fixture of New York hip-hop for over 2 decades. Nobody is trying to erase any of that. But being a good rapper does not make somebody a good storyteller in real life, and Papoose is currently telling a real-life story with more plot holes than a straight-to-streaming action movie. You can love the music and still notice the lies. Those two things can coexist. You can respect the discography and still cringe at the interview. Those two things can also coexist. I am not asking anyone to burn their Papoose playlist. I am asking everyone to open their eyes. And check this part out, the folks defending Papoose the loudest right now are, by and large, the exact same folks who spent years defending every high-profile hip-hop man who ended up on the wrong end of his own receipts. There is a pattern. There is always a pattern. The pattern goes like this: the man does something questionable, the internet catches it, the man's supporters explain it away, the man does something worse, the internet catches that too, the man's supporters double down, and eventually the man's supporters go quiet and pretend they never took the position in the first place. Papoose is currently in phase 3 of that cycle. Papoose is about to enter phase 4. And when phase 5 arrives, all these Twitter spaces defending Papoose right now are going to mysteriously disappear from everyone's timeline, and nobody will admit to having been in the room, and nobody will admit to having said what they said, and nobody will admit to having spent hours defending a fumbled ranking on live tape. And by the way, Papoose is not the only person under the microscope here. Claressa Shields is a grown, world-class, historically important boxer, and Claressa Shields made her own choice to enter this situation. That has to be said. Claressa Shields could have walked away when the first receipt dropped. Claressa Shields could have paused the relationship when Remy Ma released the diss track. Claressa Shields could have taken a step back when Papoose started fumbling the media appearances. Claressa Shields did none of those things. Claressa Shields doubled down. Claressa Shields tattooed the man on her body. Claressa Shields defended the man on Twitter Spaces. Claressa Shields brought the man into her business dealings. And now, y'all, Claressa Shields owns a percentage of whatever comes next, including the fumbles, including the finger waves, including the ranking slip that just went viral, including the awkward interviews still on the calendar. Now peep this, because this is the part that really rearranges the entire picture. The word swirling around the room is that Remy Ma has quietly won every round of this fight without ever throwing a public punch. Remy Ma is booking work. Remy Ma is hosting battles. Remy Ma is running the Remy Network. Remy Ma is on the parade route. Remy Ma has not mentioned Papoose in months, and yet somehow every single conversation about Papoose eventually circles back to Remy Ma. That is the mark of an operator, my people. Remy Ma does not need to speak to be heard. Remy Ma is what silence sounds like when it is winning. Remy Ma is what a comeback looks like when the comeback did not require permission. And here is the deeper layer, because I promised y'all a full breakdown and I am delivering. If Papoose is being truthful about Claressa Shields being the best thing that ever happened to him, then Papoose is admitting on tape that his marriage to Remy Ma, a marriage that produced years of public black love branding, a marriage that gave Papoose his television visibility, a marriage that positioned Papoose as a spokesman for loyalty and commitment, was not the best thing that ever happened to him. Which means Papoose either lied to us during the entire Remy Ma era, or Papoose is lying to us during the Claressa Shields era, and either way, my people, somebody in the audience got sold a fake product with a real receipt attached, and the return policy has officially expired. And check this part out, because this is where the receipts get spicy. There is a widely circulated theory online that Claressa Shields' original interest in Papoose was routed through her admiration of Remy Ma. Claressa Shields has publicly said, on multiple occasions, that Remy Ma was a rap figure she watched growing up. Claressa Shields reportedly slid into Remy Ma's direct messages before ever sliding into Papoose's. Claressa Shields reportedly asked Remy Ma for style, career, and image advice before the relationship with Papoose became public knowledge. Which means, my people, if this theory is true, then Remy Ma is not just the ex-wife in this story. Remy Ma is the gravitational field that made the entire Papoose, Claressa Shields orbit possible in the first place. Papoose is standing in Remy Ma's shadow while trying to sell a story about being out of it. That is not a relationship. That is a rebound with a marketing budget and a boxing belt. Now, moving right along, because I want to get to the part where we talk about what happens next. Because a preview clip like this one does not exist in a vacuum. A preview clip like this one is a trailer. And trailers are designed to make you watch the full movie. Which means the Denza Network is sitting on a full-length interview right now, and the Denza Network knows exactly what they have. They have Papoose contradicting himself on tape. They have Papoose finger-waving. They have Papoose refusing to close the loop on the divorce. They have Papoose defending decisions he has not fully thought through. And when the full interview drops, y'all, the internet is going to eat for a week. I will be there. You will be there. Everybody will be there. Bring your own popcorn, bring your own napkins, bring your own commentary track, bring your own instant replay button because you are going to need it. And listen up now, because this is where I want to leave you with the question that matters. Papoose said Claressa Shields is the best thing that ever happened to him, and then Papoose said Claressa Shields is one of the best things that ever happened to him. So which is it, Papoose? Is Claressa Shields the top of the mountain, or is Claressa Shields on a shelf with others? Because those two answers cannot both be the truth, and the audience deserves to know which one you actually believe. Papoose owes Claressa Shields that answer. Papoose owes Remy Ma that answer. Papoose owes the fans who bought into the Black Love branding that answer. And Papoose owes himself the answer, because the way things are trending, the next fumble is not going to be a 15-second slip, it is going to be a full-length collapse on national television, and every gossip channel with a working microphone is going to be there to catch it, frame by frame, syllable by syllable, finger wave by finger wave. My people, this is the part where Remy Ma quietly smiles, refills her tea, and gets back to running her business. Remy Ma does not have to lift a finger. Papoose is lifting all 10 of his for her. Papoose is finger-waving Remy Ma's case into the record every single time Papoose sits in front of a camera. And the truly delicious irony of the whole situation is that the more Papoose talks about how great things are with Claressa Shields, the more Papoose reminds the audience of everything he used to say about Remy Ma. Same voice. Same cadence. Same claims. Different name. Same interview, different chair, different year, different girlfriend, same script. Because folks in the room are whispering that Papoose has a template. Papoose has a script. Papoose does the same interview about every partner Papoose has ever had, and the only variable that changes is the name in the middle of the sentence. Which means, y'all, that everything Papoose is saying about Claressa Shields right now is exactly what Papoose used to say about Remy Ma. Word for word. Beat for beat. And if that is true, then Claressa Shields is not the exception to Papoose's romantic history. Claressa Shields is the next verse of the same song, and the chorus is coming around again, and everybody in the audience already knows the melody, and everybody in the audience already knows how the bridge is going to land. Now peep this, because I am wrapping the main body of the analysis. The reason this preview clip matters is not that Papoose lied. Everybody lies during interviews. That is not the story. The story is that Papoose lied while trying to tell the truth. The story is that Papoose could not sustain a single compliment about Claressa Shields for 2 consecutive sentences without accidentally letting the honest version leak out. And the honest version, my people, appears to be that Claressa Shields is one of the best things that ever happened to Papoose, but not necessarily the best. Which is a perfectly normal thing to feel about a partner, y'all. Human relationships are complicated. Rankings are messy. Most people would be relieved to hear a partner say they are one of the best things and not the only best thing. But that is not the game Papoose was trying to play. Papoose was trying to play the game of unconditional, world-defining, top-of-the-mountain love. And Papoose lost the game inside of one breath. And check this part out, the reason the internet is running with this clip so aggressively is not because we are trying to break up a relationship. Nobody at home is voting on who Papoose should date. The reason the internet is running with this clip is that it is a perfect little parable about performative love in the influencer era. Everybody with a microphone is out here promising eternal, unshakable, top-tier romance for the cameras. Everybody with a phone is out here documenting the greatest love story ever told, over and over, with a new co-star every 18 months. And every once in a while, the mask slips, and the audience gets to see the difference between the pitch and the product. Papoose gave us that moment. Papoose handed us the mask. And the internet, being the internet, put the mask on a hanger and hung it in the Hall of Fame, right next to every other public figure who forgot the camera was still on. So, moving right along, I want to end with a small tribute to Remy Ma, because Remy Ma has earned it. Remy Ma has spent the better part of a decade being underestimated, second-guessed, and quietly rooted against by folks who assumed the marriage carried her career. Remy Ma is currently proving, in real time, that the career carried the marriage. Remy Ma is Terror Squad royalty. Remy Ma is Bronx royalty. Remy Ma is one of the most decorated female MCs of her generation, and Remy Ma is running her own network without needing to name Papoose even once in the promotional cycle. That, my people, is what winning without swinging looks like. That is what a real glow-up sounds like on paper. And Claressa Shields, if you are reading this, you are a legend inside the boxing ring, you are a world historical talent, and you deserve a partner who does not need 2 sentences to figure out where you rank in his life. You deserve somebody who says the best thing that ever happened to me is you, and then does not need to add a footnote. You deserve to be the whole sentence, not the co-star of it. And if the Denza Network preview is any indication of where the full interview is heading, then, respectfully, Claressa Shields, the man in the chair next to you is not currently up to the task, and the tape is going to keep telling on him whether anybody in the audience wants to hear it or not, whether the room defends him or not, whether the Twitter space fills up or empties out. Now, before I let y'all go, I want to plant one final flag in the ground. This preview clip is not the story. This preview clip is the trailer for the story. The story is coming. The full interview is coming. And when it drops, the receipts are going to multiply, the contradictions are going to compound, and the internet is going to be sitting there with the biggest bowl of popcorn ever assembled. I will be here to break it down. You will be here to react. And Papoose, wherever Papoose is right now, is either going to double down and make things worse, or Papoose is going to go quiet and hope the whole thing blows over. And my people, based on Papoose's track record, we all already know which option Papoose is going to choose, and the option Papoose chooses is never the option that saves Papoose. And check this part out, while we are counting receipts, let us not forget the timing of everything. Papoose sat down for this Denza Network interview at a moment when the divorce paperwork with Remy Ma is still not fully cleaned up. Papoose sat down for this Denza Network interview at a moment when Claressa Shields is being publicly criticized on multiple platforms. Papoose sat down for this Denza Network interview at a moment when Remy Ma has been the subject of nothing but positive press for months. And Papoose looked at all of that context, looked at the calendar, looked at the temperature of the room, and decided that now was the moment to sit in front of a camera and rank his current girlfriend against his ex-wife on live tape. That is not media strategy, y'all. That is media suicide. That is Papoose walking directly into a fire and then blaming the fire for being hot, blaming the wood for being dry, blaming the wind for pushing the flames toward his own sleeves. Now peep this next layer, because folks online are already dissecting the interview posture frame by frame. Papoose was reportedly wearing his signature sunglasses during the sit-down, which, and I say this with love, is a red flag when the interview is indoors. Interviews are for eye contact. Interviews are for reading the audience through the lens. When Papoose keeps the shades on inside a studio, Papoose is telegraphing something to the room, and the something Papoose is telegraphing is not confidence. The something Papoose is telegraphing is a desire to hide the micro-expressions that the human face makes when the human mouth is telling a story the human brain does not fully agree with. And here is another wrinkle, y'all. The Denza Network is not a hostile outlet. This is not a Vlad-style ambush. This is not a Breakfast Club roast session. The Denza Network reportedly gave Papoose a friendly, respectful, softball-style sit-down, and Papoose still managed to trip over his own vocabulary. Papoose managed to contradict himself in a room designed to make him look good. Which means, my people, that the problem is not the outlet. The problem is not the interviewer. The problem is not the lighting or the seat or the mic. The problem is Papoose, and Papoose is currently the only person in the room who does not seem to notice that Papoose is the problem. And listen up now, because the fan reaction has been swift, y'all. Within hours of the preview clip going live, the comment sections lit up. Hip-hop blogs picked it up. Boxing blogs picked it up. Gossip channels picked it up. Even mainstream entertainment outlets that usually stay away from petty tea territory picked up the clip because the fumble was that visible, that clean, that unmistakable. Papoose managed to unite every corner of the internet around a single response, and that response was a collective raise of the eyebrow. That, my people, is not the reaction Papoose was hoping for. That is the reaction of a room that just watched a magician drop the trick mid-illusion, pick the trick back up, and try to pretend nobody saw it fall. Now, moving right along, I want to say something about Remy Ma's silence, because the silence is louder than any diss track ever could be. Remy Ma has not tweeted about this. Remy Ma has not posted about this. Remy Ma has not gone on a podcast about this. Remy Ma is letting the tape do the talking, and the tape is doing more talking than any interview Remy Ma could ever sit for. Because when your ex is out here contradicting himself on live television, you do not need to write a diss track. The diss track writes itself. The receipts collect themselves. The narrative writes its own third act, and Remy Ma just gets to sit back and watch the story land exactly where Remy Ma predicted it would land months ago. And here is my final read on this whole thing, y'all. Papoose is not going to bounce back from this preview cleanly. Papoose might buy some sympathy in certain corners. Papoose might get a friendly follow-up interview at some point to try to walk the ranking back. Papoose might tattoo Claressa Shields on his forearm next to Remy Ma to prove some kind of point. But the moment is already archived. The internet is already screenshotting. The clip is already looping. And every future interview Papoose sits for is going to be viewed through the lens of this fumble, forever. That is what happens when you lose a round on tape. The tape follows you into every future round, into every future press cycle, into every future comment section, into every future timeline where somebody types the name Papoose into a search bar. So drop your verdict down in the comment box below, y'all, because I want to hear it. Do you think Papoose slipped up by accident and truly loves Claressa Shields, or do you think the two contradicting sentences told us the actual honest truth Papoose has been trying to hide? Do you think Remy Ma is still the biggest name in that entire love triangle, or do you think Claressa Shields has finally overtaken her? Do you think the full Denza Network interview is going to save Papoose, or do you think the full interview is going to bury him deeper? Do you think Papoose deserves the benefit of the doubt, or has Papoose used up every doubt benefit in his account? Do you think Claressa Shields is going to eventually see what the rest of the internet is already seeing, or do you think Claressa Shields is too deep in the mix now to zoom out? Every answer counts. Every take is welcome. And every comment feeds the algorithm, so please feed generously, and keep the conversation loud enough to reach the timelines that need to see it, loud enough to reach the group chats that have been debating this for weeks, loud enough to reach the fans still stuck in the black love phase of the Papoose brand cycle. And while you are down there, do me a small favor and hit the subscribe button, because the full Denza Network interview is dropping soon, and when it drops I am going to be the first person in the room to break every single second of it down for you, receipt by receipt, contradiction by contradiction, finger wave by finger wave. You do not want to miss the follow-up. You really do not. Papoose is about to make history, y'all, and it is not going to be the kind of history Papoose was hoping for. Stay tuned, stay locked in, and stay ready, because the popcorn is popping, the tea is steaming, the receipts are printing, and the show is just getting started, and the credits will not roll for a very, very long time.